It's 11 o'clock on a Friday night, and I could be anywhere right now. Having a drink, watching a movie, or most probably sleeping. But nope, here I am tearing my shop apart once again. Because even when given 2 months to plan ahead for something, I still waited until the very last minute to make the preparations. Except for this removable wall panel. I think I planned that quite well. It's not only good for moving big things out of the shop, but also good for bringing big things in. Big things like, well, you'll see.
So, how much does this thing weigh?
Not as much as other things.
Not as much as other things, okay. Well, that's a start.
Somewhere between 1,800 and 2,200 pounds. I'm not sure how to read the spec sheet on it, but...
So, this is Santa Craig?
Santa Craig.
Am I going first?
Yeah, you're showing me where it is, right?
All right, come on. I would call this a barn find, maybe. So I've had this thing back here for a while, and I've enjoyed your videos, and I thought, well, it sure would be nice to get this thing being used. You think you got use for it?
I got use for it.
What are you smiling about?
Because I still can't see it.
Oh, well, we get her turned around. You can still back out of it.
I got something for you.
Oh, I thought you had something bulging out back there.
I do. We came up with the name. We came up with the name on the way here that you are Santa Craig.
Oh, okay.
Because this is like Christmas for me.
Cool. I wanted to be an elf, but I guess I could be Santa.
Is it big? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, my head's big enough. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. We'll cut the electric and we'll yank it out of there. You got some pliers? I'm Santa Craig. I'm gonna put my brain on a diet.
You want them over both forks or just one?
We'll be all right with one fork on this.
Pretty good right there.
Yeah. I still get through the door.
There we go. Come up about 10 inches.
And go ahead and pierce it.
Yeah, try and get it right in there.
In the electrical?
Yeah, right there.
Yep. All right, tell me when I hit the wall behind it real hard.
I think you'll know. These?
Or will they just slide to the left? Or yeah, stand against the wall where the lathe was. Hey, might as well put something back in there. Let's don't have an empty spot. I'm assuming you're watching the front?
Yeah, you got plenty of room here. You can come forward if you need more swing.
Well, that was bent when I got it, literally.
Well, that'll be the first project.
Well, but don't worry, it's still hanging on.
Just barely.
I've replaced the locking bolt for the compound rotate. But it ran last time. Oh, we could plug it in.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Ooh. So, yeah, it's a lathe. Craig is giving me a lathe. Honestly, it makes me uncomfortable even saying that because I know how insane this is. I've never been gifted something so ridiculous in my life. Craig even retracted his original stipulation that I give it back if he ever wants it. But I insisted that we hold that if for no other reason than to make myself feel better about the deal, or lack thereof. What's even crazier is this isn't just any lathe. It's my dream lathe. I've wanted a hard-hinge tool room lathe ever since using one the first time in college. And while this isn't a hard-hinge in name, it's about as close as you can get without the badge. This is Craig's real hard-hinge over in his production shop. I'm sure you can see the similarities. So yeah, I'm beyond stoked. And Craig, thank you so much. This is just crazy. I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you.
Something. Oh, that takes a touch.
Now, if you put me in front of my dream lathe and connect power to it, I'm obviously going to want to sit here and play with it forever. But eventually I remembered I did need to get this thing home. I took the splash guard off the back just so it wouldn't act like a sail going down the highway, and Craig gently set the lathe down in the trailer. Loading went about as smooth as anything, and the lathe made it back to my shop without a hitch. Unloading, however, well, just don't use this as an example of excellence. I fortunately live in a place where the neighbors are friendly, and also own heavy construction equipment. Even with this, it still took over an hour to squeeze everything under the garage door onto some dollies and into the shop. All I can say is I'm really racking up my debts with this one. Thank you, Brent. Finally, after a full day of the most surreal events, my new baby is in its new home, and I am ready to finally just sit down, snuggle up, and watch a nice documentary. Luckily, I have just the place to go, with CuriosityStream. Now I'm pretty stoked about this sponsor because not only do I love documentaries, but I especially love educational documentaries. And CuriosityStream, well, that's their whole business. Whether you're in the mood for aliens, race cars, history, food, science, heck, if you just want to listen to Sir David Attenborough's soothing voice before bed, you'll find it here. And only here because Curiosity uploads new exclusive content every week on top of their already massive catalog. I promise you, there's something here for everyone. Even my wife was excited to get a subscription. But no need to wrestle over computers. Curiosity is streamable on multiple devices and even has an offline mode, so you can watch anywhere. But maybe some places are better than others. CuriosityStream is super affordable too, starting for less than $5 a month. That's a fifth the price of the carbide inserts I seem to burn through like my insatiable candy habit. But this is way better for you. So yeah, this service is awesome, and I'm confident you'll find something you like. Go to curiositystream.com/inheritance machining, use the link below, or just scan this QR code to get unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and nonfiction series. And for our fans, use promo code Inheritance Machining and you'll save 25% off an annual subscription. Thank you, CuriosityStream, for giving me the perfect way to wind down for the night. Man, I just had the worst dream. No, not that the lathe fell on me. Much worse. I dreamt that the surface grinder completely covered this precision machine in grinding dust. So before I start in on the lathe, I'd better get things in a more optimal arrangement. This of course means unleveling the grinder back down onto its wheels. But considering it's been over a year since I've used this last. Okay, I definitely need a surface grinder project ASAP. Anyway, I've got this now so that the dust will be directed towards the wall. I don't know if that 45 degrees will actually make a difference, but I'm a bit backed into a corner here. I did manage to get the most beautiful clearance on the left and right sides of the table though. I'll go ahead and piece the rest of the shop back together and we can start in on the lathe. Okay, back to what we're all here for. I came into this not really knowing the state of this lathe or what problems it might have. So I was pretty excited when I found out it still had its original change gears, and Craig even threw in a couple 4-jaw chucks. But literally all of this is a mess, so I think the first place to start is with a bath. It doesn't take a rocket therapist to see that this isn't a new lathe. All the missing paint in areas is a telltale sign of some serious use. You can almost make out the elbow wrinkles of the machinist that hunched over this spindle year after year. And all the tooling that was set on top of this control box. I actually kind of like seeing all the history in this machine. Gives it character. So I'm not convinced I'll repaint it just yet. All the visible wear does have me a little concerned about what I can't see. Like wear in the ways and the spindle bearings that could affect the precision this lathe is known for. But before I jump to any conclusions and tear this down to its skivvies, we gotta at least see how it performs. After this bath, of course. This isn't exactly a waste of time though, because it's revealing a lot of things I hadn't noticed during the excitement of, well, you know. We already saw that some of the cranks need to be replaced, but now I'm seeing that some of the handwheel dials aren't working either. Some spin fine, some spin-ish, and some spin not a damn bit. Plus this quick retract mechanism might have some issues. I'm not sure this part should be moving. During our test cutting back at Craig's, we also had a hard time trying to rotate the tool post and compound. The nut is locked down on all the guts below. I guess I just needed the right tool. Now to get this compound slide off here so we can clean underneath, which I can't seem to figure out. But I'm a strong believer that if it doesn't make sense, just take it apart more. Of course, even that isn't straightforward. One of the screw heads is stripped. Just add that to the list. Even with all that out of the way, I still can't seem to figure this out. I even broke down and looked over the forums, but something still isn't clicking. Up here, not on the machine. It just gets loose in the middle and tight on the ends, but still doesn't want to come free. While I turn on that for a bit, I'll just make some headway on the rest of this grime. Okay, I managed to find some diagrams, and I think I know what needs to happen now. Like the solution to so many problems, I just need to use the pull-out method. I wouldn't have guessed that friction was the retaining mechanism here. Then again, it was pretty toit. Toit like a toiger, some might say. Okay, I'm glad I finally got this apart because this clearly needs some loving too. I realize now I may have gotten a bit excited before and I didn't have to tear this down as far as I did. But I think it revealed a problem. Maybe it's just me, but this lead screw looks worn more on one end than the other. I mean, everything wears, but to be visible to the naked eye, that's pretty serious. Here, let's get this back together and see. Yeah, that's not good. In one position there's minimal free play, which is good. But just a short distance away, well, that ain't exactly precision. I think I just found my first serious project on this lathe. Especially considering I just noticed the end of the shaft is bent as well. This thing must have been hit hard at some point. At any rate, the idea of making some actual replacement parts for this lathe sounds way too exciting, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Ow. Damn.
While the tailstock isn't completely hazard-free, it cleans up easy enough. One thing that concerns me though is I see no ability for adjustment. On my other lathe, I can shift the tailstock left or right to get it perfectly aligned with the spindle, but not here. I'll likely have to shim underneath this gib, which sounds like a nice, mind-numbingly tedious project just how I like. I'm also apparently missing the rest of this locking lever pin, but that's an easy one. Man, this thing already looks so much better. I mean, it's not immaculate, but plenty good enough to start making some chips. Well, sort of. If my goal is to make some test cuts to evaluate the alignment and precision of this lathe, I'd better take some time and get it off these rickety-ass furniture dollies. Just like unloading, running this in fast forward makes it look a whole lot more like I know what I'm doing. With everything at its lowest potential energy, I can start on the real brain scratching. There are 6 adjustable feet under here, and the idea is to use them strategically to remove any twist and bowing in the bedway. While the lathe doesn't technically need to be level, it does make it a little easier to see what's going on, especially once you get it close enough to use the high precision level. After getting the twist removed with just the outer 4 feet, I'm still reading both high on the left and high on the right, which can only mean one thing. There's a bow in the bed, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 thou low in the middle. Not a problem though, because I still have the 2 middle feet to play with. In theory, anyway. And I don't just mean that because the back one is nearly impossible to reach. Nope, as soon as I started lowering these feet to lift the bow out of the machine, it just lifted the outer feet off the ground without straightening a thing. I surely would have thought the sheer weight of this machine would have let this level out. I mean, that's how it works on my big lathe. But this base cabinet must be a lot more rigid than I thought. Which totally makes sense now, but doesn't exactly explain why there are 6 feet under this base to begin with. Anyway, I think that's as straight as I'm going to get it for now, so the final thing I need to do to make some cuts is get some power to this thing. Man, if only it was that easy. This machine runs on 3-phase electricity like all my others. And on those, I've used VFDs to convert the standard split phase to the 3-phase I need. But this lathe isn't so simple. It actually has 3 motors, which means 3 VFDs, which means a whole lot of money. But I have a cheaper option, and it involves stealing the rotary phase converter from my surface grinder. I know, this poor thing keeps getting the short end of the stick, but don't worry, I'll give it back. Maybe. This is basically the same thing as a VFD, but makes 3 phases in a much simpler manner. So I can tap off the shop's main circuit to power the rotary phase converter, then use it to run a separate 3-phase circuit to these 2 machines. And even better, it's outside the shop, so I don't have to listen to its incessant humming. I made this sound simple, but this whole side project took 2 days and multiple trips to the hardware store. So it definitely ate up a good amount of my already dwindling time for this video. But on the bright side, now when I flip this breaker on, I have a dedicated plug at the lathe, and a dedicated plug at the surface grinder. Eventually. Needless to say, I was pretty excited to finally have some power on the machine. So excited, in fact, that I brought my wife down for some show and tell. As you do. And this is where I messed up. I was trying to woo her by running my spindle through its speeds, and I got it stuck in its slowest setting. Hardly the impression I was trying to make. She did like my cleaning job, though. Anyway, it turns out the lead screw on the speed changer mechanism somehow completely bottomed out, and it's not moving a hair, no matter how many times I flip the switch. And the only way I can see to fix it is to tear all this apart. I guess I gotta call this video somewhere, and I feel like this is the universe giving me a sign. On top of this, I'm just now seeing what looks like some additional leveling bolts where the machine mounts to the cabinet, and the brake doesn't seem to be working, and the tool holders I have that I thought would fit, don't. And the power feed seems to be slipping. And the coolant system? Well, yeah. But even all this isn't going to stop me from at least making some chips. Now while we're here, I feel like I need to talk about Craig for just a second. I actually spoke to him several times asking if he wanted some sort of shout out for this whole deal, and the answer was always no. But he's a pretty humble man, so I'm going to brag about him anyway. Craig is actually the owner of a high-end CNC shop in Nicholasville, Kentucky called Machine Time. And while I couldn't get a lot of footage because of proprietary reasons, the stuff they make is absolutely mind-blowing. They definitely live up to their motto of making manufacturing sexy, which is something I can get behind, so maybe that's why Craig gave me this lathe. At any rate, I'm more than grateful, and there's definitely a place for his sticker in my shop. Hopefully that makes up for almost 20 minutes of essentially just moving this machine and its components around. Sure, I wish I could have wrapped this up into a nice little bundle of a video, but this is just what happens when you jump into the unknown. At the very least, I got a nice list of projects to work through. I just have to figure out what to do next. Craig, seriously, this whole thing is nuts and I can't thank you enough. And like I said, I'll give it back whenever you want, but maybe just don't want it right after I finish fixing it. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.